AM 1510, WMEL.
This is Joe Steckler, folks, your host for Helping Seniors, the radio arm of the Helping Seniors of Brevard.org net. Helping Seniors of Brevard.org is our website. If you want to go to that, and you can find out about all the stuff we do. And with me in the booth here today is Kay Kaiser. Kay is the information specialist over at the office, and her number is to reach her is 473-7770. It's 321-473-7770. The purpose of this entire program is to develop information, education, and be able to connect seniors to the resources they need to, in many cases, just live. There are so many of us who do not understand the complexities of life for older people sometimes. We make an assumption that everybody has put aside enough to live on as they age and in retirement, and it's a wonderful thing to aspire to, but it's not always the case. And having said that, sometimes there are reasons either for not or for achieving that end objective. But what be that it may, there will always be people that need help, and that's why we always need a lot of nonprofit organizations. I take a little different tack today in us approaching our sponsors. I want to say this. All the sponsors for Helping Seniors do one of two things. They either help us get the word out through the media, like the radio station, our television station, through the Space Coast channels, and the Hometown News, Senior Scene Magazine, Spotlight Magazine, Aldea Today, Ebony News Today, and now the Space Coast Magazine. It's a direct competitor of Florida Today has asked us to submit a couple of articles a week. So I talked to Kerry Fink, our media guy, yesterday, and Kerry was talking about Joy. He said, we keep thinking about sponsors and programs, and we don't really think about what we really are is sort of a coordinator of an information network. And it's a network of programs, organizations, and businesses that support this thing and to provide the types of services. Because on the other hand, a lot of you people will call Kay and you'll need things like information about Veterans Affairs, or you need information about selling a house, or you need information about home care, different types of home care. And I think it's what's important for you to know about the people that sponsor our program is that if you have a need, it has somehow something to do with senior living. If you call Kay at the office at 473-7770, Kay is going to be able to get you to a resource that can help you. Now, what would you add to that, Kay, instead of just nodding to the mic that they can't hear?
Well, I want to point out to, if anybody does call our office at 473-7770, a lot of people call in, and this just happened as recent as this morning, right before I left for the station. A lady was calling because she had a fence down and she needed a handyman to be able to pick it up and take it out to the street. She's 84 years old, and that would be kind of difficult for her. But as I was talking to her, she was saying that she was from Germany and she married an American. And I said, oh, was he a veteran? Did he serve in a time of war? And she said, yes. And I said, are you aware that you may be missing out on VA benefits? She said, no, I had no idea. So naturally, one thing leading to another, I gave her that number. But these are the things that I try to do when I get a caller. They may call for one specific thing, and then I try to develop a relationship with them and find out, okay, maybe there are some other things that you might be able to be helped with a various resource. So I find it vital to really open up that dialogue with my callers and try to do the best that I can to help them with whatever resource they're looking for.
Well, I think that's the key to everything we're talking about. Sometimes people simply don't understand that, Kay. many people think that nonprofit organizations just sort of come out of the woodworks and they're paid for through grants and government organizations and private organizations. That's not true. A lot of them do. A lot of them get. I can think of some organizations that maybe they put on a fundraising event to raise maybe 1/50th of the money they spend, but the other 49% or another 99% of the money they spend is given to them through the state, the county, United Way, and that's fine. But as long as we spend the money, as long as we spend the money using it the right way, I don't have a problem. But when organizations get money from the county government and they take that money and pay for a program, and then they turn right around and charge the consumers of that program a fee for that service, I don't think that's right, because
I don't either.
It's our tax dollars that go into those programs.
That's right.
And unless somebody starts blowing the whistle on this kind of stuff, it's never going to get corrected.
That's
right. A lot of people I've had people say to me, well, why are you concerned about it, Joe? I'm concerned about it because I happen to be one of the guys that pays the taxes.
You betcha.
I'm all for people getting help, but I really have a hard time when nonprofit organizations are in it to make a profit and not provide the service that could be provided. Yo, you on the phone, Lance?
We have.
Okay.
There we are.
Are you awake?
Oh, I'm awake, Joe. How are you feeling?
I feel a lot better, Lance. Both what Lance is referring to, and I think some of you know it. I have had it for years, something called fibromyalgia, and then they put me on a drug called Lyrica, and decided because that drug was causing me to retain so much fluid, took me off this thing, and it has been a nightmare coming off of it. But Lance, I'm doing a lot better now, and I have high expectations that I'm going to feel better within another 2 or 3 weeks. I think the worst of it is over, but it's still a mess. But I'm still glad to be among the functioning.
Well, so are we, Joe.
Okay, Lance. We always ask you to be on with us at this time of year because it's the open enrollment period for Medicare, and I'll let Kay and I both are going to ask you some questions today, but maybe just for the benefit of our listeners, explain the open enrollment period and why it's so important for them to understand and contact the SHINE representatives.
I'd be happy to, Joe.
Okay, go.
This is that one time a year where Medicare beneficiaries have the option to change their plans. Medicare understands that people's needs change, that plans change from one year to the next, and Medicare gives beneficiaries the option during the period of October 15th through December 7th to take a look at what they have, what it will be like next year if they retain the current plan, and to explore other options. And so Medicare annual and open enrollment is real important, Joe, because it's that one time of the year that people can make these changes and should do what I call an annual insurance checkup to see whether the current plan that they have will be the best one to suit their needs in the coming year.
Lance, I have a question for you. And by the way, for our listening audience, we're listening to Lance Jarvis, who is a co-coordinator for SHINE. And Lance, I think that would probably be a good way to start, too, to explain to the listening audience, what does SHINE stand for?
Sure, Kay. Thanks for asking. SHINE stands for Serving Health Insurance Needs of Elders. And SHINE is part of the Florida Department of Elder Affairs. And SHINE counselors, and there are about 550 of us statewide, are all volunteers. I should add, very well-trained volunteers.
Yes.
But we are all volunteers.
Not only are your volunteers that represent SHINE and for people looking into their Medicare plans, but I would say that for the majority of them, if not all of them, are unbiased when it comes to looking at those plans. Am I correct in that, Lance?
Oh, absolutely, Kay. We must be unbiased. There are three things that I think really characterize the work that SHINE counselors do. One, our counsel is completely free. And getting to your point, Kay, SHINE counselors' counsel to our clients is completely unbiased and objective. We don't sell insurance. We have no ties to insurance companies. We have no ties to insurance agents. So our job is to do the best we can for our clients. Our clients are our master. And finally, anything that's shared with the SHINE counselor is held in the strictest of confidence. We share that information with nobody. So clients can have confidence that we are on their side, that we are eager to make sure that they know their options, and that we can help them decide for themselves which plan or plans will suit them best in the coming year. And we do that by doing a lot of listening and asking questions, because no plan, no single plan serves everybody's needs. The advertising that many of the plans do make it sound as though there should be no other plan you should consider. Well, there are 21 Medicare Advantage plans offered in Brevard County. There are 20 prescription drug plans offered in Brevard County. We also help people select Medicare supplements, of which there are 50 or 60 offered in Brevard County. So what we do is listen to the client, try to assess their needs, their medical needs, their financial needs, and help them to choose among the options that are best suited to provide the medical care that they need next year at the most affordable price.
Lance Jarvis, I have a quick question, too. Do you find that a lot of people just forget about this open enrollment, and then all of a sudden December 7th is gone and passed, and now can they change anything after that date? You know, they are surprised that they really didn't take advantage of that open enrollment time.
Unfortunately, Kay, that's one of the saddest situations that we come up with, and it generally happens in this way. A client will go to fill a prescription on or after January 1st and suddenly find out that that medication is no longer covered by the plan that they've had. Now, they may have been very happy with that plan over the years, but the plan has changed. And they'll call us and say, well, I need a different plan. I need one that covers my medications at a lower cost, because this is going to be very, very expensive for me to fill this one prescription. And we're sorry to say that you're stuck with that plan until 2018. You cannot change prescription plans after December 7th. So that's one of the sad situations. Another sad one is when a Medicare beneficiary who has, let's say, a Medicare Advantage plan, goes to see their doctor in January, and when it's time to check out, they show their card, and the doctor's office says, we don't participate in that plan anymore. So you're going to have to pay the full price for the services that we've provided today.
Ouch.
Lance, I think also that we don't talk about it. We sure don't see it in the newspaper, but I happen to read the National Association of Elder Law Attorney Network publication on a weekly basis, and there are several new things that are coming out under the elder law attorneys, and it's frightening to me. And I'm going to mention a couple things here that you might want to tell some of your clients, but I think people should tell their friends, and people listening on the show should tell other people about it. As an example, we talk about statistics in terms of dollars and in terms of percentages. And statistics in terms of percentages can be very, very misleading. And here's why I say that. There are 39 states that use the federal healthcare.gov insurance exchanges. The rest of the states have statewide exchanges. Minnesota has a state exchange, and their premium increases this year were 59%. Now, I don't know how bad that 59% is in terms of dollars, but I went on to say in the article that Minnesota was only the fourth highest premium increase behind Tennessee, Oklahoma, and 116% increase in Arizona. See, but all three of those states use the healthcare thing. Minnesota was a state exchange, but Tennessee, Oklahoma, and Arizona all use the healthcare.gov. So, there was another thing that came in on this on the same network, and it talked about where the two candidates for the presidency stand on terms of Medicare, and it happens that Trump and Clinton both recognize the need to hold fast on Medicare costs, and also to do something. And a lot of people are surprised that Trump wants to do everything he can to hold down the cost of prescription drugs, and that's not really never stated. See, but the attorneys try to point out what the real facts are. But what scared me when I read the attorneys' take on what's happening, and this is what I think is so important for the SHINE counselors to know, that candidate Clinton, she wants to build on the current Medicare thing, and some of those costs are going up astronomically. So this is going to really impact some of these people, especially like in states like Tennessee, Arizona, and the states that are on the .gov exchanges, because they're not going to be able to have any say in what their costs are. So that even gives more credence to the fact that people need to talk to you and your SHINE counselors. Do you agree?
Oh, I agree, Joe. The one caveat I'd add is that we deal with Medicare and the Medicare options. The Medicare.gov, or sometimes called Obamacare, is not something that we're involved with at all. What we do is help people who are going to be going on Medicare, people who are who are on Medicare and are interested in exploring other options. But it's very sad for those folks who are in programs that are part of the Obamacare arrangement to see their premiums increase so substantially.
Yeah, it scares me, Lance, because another thing that most people do not realize, and I know about this because I read the book. Senator Daschle published a book years ago, and it talked about his health care plan, and his health care plan was the same health care plan that Hillary Clinton proposed when she was asked by President Clinton to monitor the development of a national health care plan when he was the president. And it turns out that the current Medicare plan is extremely similar to what she proposed back in 1992, 1993. And here we are, almost 20 years later, and we're looking at the same plan, depending on who is the candidate that wins. And people under these high deductibles, and what I'm saying is they need to talk to you guys, and your people need to help people understand the difference between percentages and actual dollars and what they get for that.
Of course. Well,
anything else you want to add, Lance?
Yeah, let me add one or two other things here, Joe. Yesterday, I had the privilege of serving a man and his wife who have rather expensive prescription drugs. By doing about 10 minutes worth of work in searching for other plans that would cover their medications, Joe, I was able to save them $1,900 in 2017 simply by making a phone call and switching their drug plan.
Wow.
And that made me feel great.
Oh, my gosh, yes.
This couple was just ecstatic.
I can imagine.
Because prescription medications, as you know, are going up rapidly.
Right.
And these are medications that are currently covered under their plan.
Wow.
But next year, they will not be covered under their plan.
Lance,
and so by spending 10 minutes doing a search, I was able to come up with a couple of options.
That's fantastic.
The best one, saving them $1,900. That's a lot of money for all of us.
Right.
Lance Jarvis, can you stay with us here for the second portion of the program? Because we have some more questions. John Harper, who's the owner of WMEL, wanted me to mention that we are now on AM 1510 WMEL, but also FM stations have been picked up and broadcasting this in the FM 99.9, 94.7, 100.7. All are part of WMEL, so make sure you take a note of that because it's quite an exciting change happening for WMEL.
Okay, we're going to take a quick break, and Lance is going to stay with us because Kay's got a couple of questions to ask you. So, John, we'll take a break, and then we'll be back.
AM 1510, WMEL.
Back live with the second half of the Helping Seniors show, folks. I mentioned a lot of our sponsors, and some of them I sort of took a shortcut today and said, think in terms of services, but a couple of them I can't really hit with services. It's like Vitas Hospice just does a great job with hospice services, and Barbara McIntyre of Home Equity Loan. We get a lot of calls of people called in, and they think that we can help them pay their living bills. We can't do that. We're not funded for something like that, folks. But it's possible for many people that own their homes, they can take a very small more home equity loan out and get the roof fixed that they need or pay for some of the bills they need to pay for. And what that means is that you just don't have as much money to pass on to your children as you'd like to. But consider the fact that mom and dad have to think about how they can live safely until it's time for them to leave this good earth and go to the next life. But we can't always have everything the way we want it. But folks, if you got a need for some kind of a service, you call Kay Kaiser at 473-7770, and she can help you in terms of with legal things, with assisted living facilities, nursing homes. You call, we can help. Okay, go ahead. You had a couple of questions for Lance. Go ahead with that.
I do. We're speaking to Lance Jarvis, who's a co-coordinator of SHINE here in Brevard County. And before I absolutely forget, I want to make sure we put out your telephone number. What's the best number for our callers to call for a SHINE counselor, Lance Jarvis? Oh,
I'm happy to provide that to you, Kay. The best number to reach us in Brevard County is the SHINE line. 321-752-8080. That's 321-752-8080. And by calling that number, we will refer your call to a counselor who will call you and provide you with the assistance on Medicare matters that you're seeking. We're happy to do that. We have 35 counselors in Brevard, and we operate out of 13 different locations, all the way from Titusville Port St. John down to Palm Bay, where we have 2 offices, and chances are there's a Shine office near you. But it's important to point out that many of the questions or issues that we deal with can be very ably handled just on the phone. So not every call requires an appointment. We'll do our best to help you over the phone, and if an appointment is necessary, we'll be happy to make one for you.
And to reiterate, too, that anybody talking to a Shine counselor, whether it's on the phone or in person with an appointment, the service that you provide, Lance Jarvis, through your counselors is absolutely free.
Totally free, Kay. And I just love to point out that we have no skin in the game. All of our counsel is completely unbiased and objective. We have access to information on every plan offered in Brevard, and our job is to do the best we can for our clients. And so that's really important to underscore.
Absolutely. If somebody doesn't take the time to review their Medicare plan, and as you mentioned in the first portion of the program, Lance Jarvis, and then it's after December 7th, and then suddenly discover that their prescription is not covered or another matter at place, there's no excuse. Just once a year, take the time to review the plan. That's the bottom line. And Shine counselors do this, as you mentioned, absolutely free. Lance, I have another question for you. What if somebody, because we get a lot of people moving in from the Northeast or the Midwest and everything that have Medicare plans from their previous states. How does that affect them when they move to Florida?
Okay, when a person moves from one location, let's say they have a Medicare Advantage plan, and they move from a location where they had a particular plan, and they move to Florida, which is not covered by that plan. Medicare gives them what's called a special open enrollment period so they can switch plans to one that serves their new residents. So we do that all the time. As a matter of fact, just earlier this week, I guess it was Monday, I ended up calling someone in Michigan who's soon going to be moving to the Melbourne area, and was able to help them to understand what the options are here for Medicare Advantage plans and prescription drug plans and the like. So we do that routinely, helping people even before they move to Brevard.
Yeah, but Lance,
know what their options are.
Lance, if they move outside of the open enrollment period, can they still make a change to
yes. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so that's important for people to know.
Yeah, that's what I meant by special open enrollment. That's
okay, all right.
Open enrollment period just for them due to the circumstances surrounding their change in residence.
Okay.
And we have that can happen not only on a move from Michigan to Brevard, but it can happen when somebody moves from Tampa to Brevard. The same programs, plans that operate in the Tampa area are not always the same plans that operate here in Brevard.
So if you got a question, call Shine.
And that number is 321-752-8080. Right, Lance?
It sure is, Kay, and we welcome your listeners to call. We're eager to serve. We sure don't do this for the money, but we do it because we really enjoy serving seniors and providing a service that's available nowhere else.
Thank you, Lance, and we'll look forward to get you back on the show.
I have one last question, if I may.
Sure, Kay. No extra charge for this one.
Okay, good. Okay, we don't have to ring this one up.
Okay.
Extra Help program. Can you explain what that's all about?
Sure. In Florida, there are 2 programs that can help lower-income Medicare beneficiaries with financial assistance. One is the one that's called Extra Help with prescription drug costs. This is a program that is run through Social Security and provides very, very low-cost medications and, in many instances, prescription drug coverage with no premium for the drug plan. That's one plan that we often ask our clients about to see if they qualify. If they do, we have the applications in our office. The other program, Kay, is one that's offered through Florida Medicaid, and that is called the Medicare Savings Program. And with these, and there are several of these Medicare Savings Programs, all of them, if you qualify based on income and financial assets, will pay for your Medicare Part B, as in boy, premium. And for the lowest income folks, it may also pay all of your medical expenses. So you can receive medical care with no copayment, no deductible. And these are great programs.
This is just another good reason to contact SHINE to review your Medicare plan, because I guarantee, if I'm not mistaken, Lance Jarvis, that a lot of people have no clue on the Extra Help program or the Medicare savings plans that you just mentioned.
That's absolutely true. And when a client comes into our office, we assure them of confidentiality, but never fail to ask if they qualify for these programs, because many people, as you say, have no idea that these programs are available. They're out there to help people with their medical expenses. So please call SHINE, find out if you qualify, and if you do, we'll get you the applications for one or the other or both of these programs.
Thank you, Lance. Appreciate your calling in today. And as always, we all learn something, and that's the importance of having a show designed to provide information and education. And you can sure do a great job of it. Thank you, Lance.
Thanks, Joe. It's always a pleasure.
Thank you. It's a pleasure to have you, too. A couple other things, folks, in the time that we have left. I think it's important that last August, under the Medicare enrollment plans, the federal law was we're going to require patients that came into a hospital to either be designated as a patient, an inpatient, or in for observation. And based on whether they were observation or an inpatient, it would determine the amount of money that they were responsible to the hospital for. Well, it was so confusing and it was so poorly written that the Internal Revenue Service and the federal government decided not to do this, and they implemented it at a later date, and they have placed it in effect now. And all I'm saying to you that, let's say if you get taken to the hospital and you're admitted to the emergency room, simply because you go to the emergency room and are later placed in a hospital bed, say even in the intensive care unit, for a couple of days, that does not mean that you were necessarily admitted as an inpatient. Your doctor has to admit you as an inpatient. And so all I'm trying is, it's a very confusing situation. What I'm saying is that if you go to the hospital and you get put in the hospital, ask the hospital whether you are classified as an inpatient or as an observation patient. You might save yourself thousands of dollars.
Good point.
It's extremely important.
Absolutely. And I think in talking with Lance Jarvis in the previous times, too, that he mentioned if someone calls for 911, an ambulance, and they actually may have a friend or family or neighbor that can take them to the hospital, there's a big variation on that too. So if they're able to get to the hospital on their own, by all means do that, because that can also save them a heck of a lot of money by not using an ambulance to take them to an emergency room as well.
But don't get misled, folks, by what Kay is saying. If you think you've got a serious problem,
That's different.
don't be concerned about whether you're going to be saving $1 or not. Be
Right.
worried about whether you're going to save your life or not, and you call that ambulance, and then worry about how somebody's going to pay for it. But if you've got a routine thing you need to go to the hospital for, get somebody to drive you.
Right.
But if it's an emergency situation, you call that doggone 911 number, and you let them get you there, and they can save you a lot of time. And I think it's extremely important. Kay, what are some of the other things that we're finding out as we get close to starting 2017? There are a lot of things that we do need to talk about, a lot of things that people need to think about. And I got an email the other day from a gentleman that follows everything we do and follows our stuff in the paper pretty closely. And I had an article in the paper about planning. And the guy sent me an email and said, Joey, he said, we can't plan for everything. And I realize you can't plan for everything, folks. But if you don't make a stab at trying to do some type of planning for whatever the situation is that you find yourself in, you stand a worse chance of solving a problem if you don't have any kind of a plan at all.
Right.
So all I was saying in the article was do the very best you can to plan what's ahead of you in life so that you can reach your objectives safely, financially, and independent decision making. So it's extremely important that we pay attention to whatever we do and how we try to plan to live our lives, especially because it's becoming very, very much complicated. And a lot of us don't take the newspaper anymore, and the younger generation, I think, is more attuned to using the Facebook page, Facebook, Kay. And Kay reminded me that before we close the show today, I want to remind everybody that we do have the raffle going on for the 1992 Jaguar that we've got the car right now. It's over at the Gatto store on North Wickham Road. They're going to keep it there for a few days, and then we're going to be selling tickets down at the next senior fair down at the Melbourne Auditorium, and then the following weekend at one of the churches at Holy Name of Jesus Church. And we're looking at places, if somebody hears this on the air and you got a place where you think that somebody might want us to bring the car to sell tickets, people have an interest in a very, very beautiful 1992 Jaguar with only 38,000 miles.
Ruby red.
Ruby Red. Call us at 473-7770, and you can call there if you want tickets on the car. They're $25 a ticket, or for a donation of $25, and for a donation of $100, you're 5 tickets. I've driven the car. It's not the easiest bear in the world to get into, but it's a powerful car, and we took it over to the Gatto store yesterday, and my wife and I watched 3 of the mechanics from Gatto's come out and cluster around the car and look at it, and they all admitted that it's a fine-looking car. So if you think you're aspiring to trying to win a Jaguar for $25, it's a pretty good deal. Call Kay at 473-7770.
And even if you don't drive, because I get callers that call me and say, yeah, I want to buy a ticket for this, but I don't drive anymore. And I said, well, what a great gift for your son or daughter, or hey, turn around and put a few $1,000s in your pocket if you win. But the important thing is, Joe Steckler, is this is to helping seniors of Brevard. We are a 501c3 nonprofit organization, and every penny counts to help us continue to help our senior callers and caretakers in our Brevard County. It all adds up.
Yeah, it does. And I've been doing this for 27 years, and I remember when we did our first car raffle, it was before I even started doing a radio show, and John Harper and golly, what was the financial guy's name? John? What was that guy's?
Norm Hayden.
Yeah, Norm Hayden.
Oh, yeah, I remember Norm.
Norm Hayden and John and I would stand by the side of the road and sell tickets and talk about. We did a sort of a roadside broadcast, but it just shows you the types of things you do throughout your life to try to assist people. And I remember when I called John and asked him if he would do this, there was never a moment's hesitation. And I think about all the times, John, that you've stayed in your radio station during the hurricanes and the bad weather and all this stuff, and you've tried to keep the people that, like you, stayed by and wanted to stay in their house. You stayed by in your radio station to help those people. So you were doing it for a little different reason. Some people are obstinate and just don't want to leave, but you were doing what we do, providing information, educating the people about the path of the storm, and trying to keep things safe for them. So it's a wonderful world, and what makes it a wonderful world, okay, is having people that try to do the very best to help everybody. What else are some of the things that you have seen, and maybe in the last couple of weeks, that any sterling example of any phone call that you've gotten that would be a really good benefit knowledge for people listening today?
Well, the callers call, and that's the main thing. Don't be afraid to call 473-7770. Even if I'm on the other line helping a caller, our calls are recorded on 3 separate computers. So every call, every voice message is returned. But Joe, the calls range from everything from, what we say, legal assistance, financial assistance, transportation is a huge one, affordable housing. This is one thing that, I feel really bad for this gal. She's only 61 years old, so she's too young to get into an affordable housing. The requirement is 62. Right. So, and living in a trailer that's full of mold and everything, and took her landlord to the court, and the judge sided with the landlord. So, I gave her a whole list of different options there as a shelter, but affordable housing is really a major need in Brevard County. Yeah. So many of our seniors are on a very limited income, and that's the reason why when I speak to a caller, I try to find out, and I ask them, are you on a limited income? And the answer is 9 times out of 10, yes. And I said, can you give me an approximate value of what you get each month? And so many of these callers are $600, $700, $800, $900.
I know. Folks, Senior Scene Magazine has published a survey, and that survey is online at helpingseniors.brevard.org. If you go to our website and you see our Senior Scene survey there, I ask you, please do that, because the questions you answer on this 10-question survey help us go back to the county commissioners and say, these are some of the needs that the seniors believe that we have, not what some 25 or 30-year-old youngster out of college is saying would be good for seniors to have. These are the needs that seniors that are trying to make it from week to week, month to month, just to live.
And it gives them an opportunity to make comments and suggestions. That's what we want to hear. That gives it more oomph for, trying to move forward to get some things straightened out for them.
Yeah, to hear the seniors are breaking pills in half, because, again, a form is one thing, but to have a senior say, I have to do this because, and this is the reason why, it gives us more ammunition to write official documents that tell what the real story is.
Absolutely.
And that's so important. We're just about out of time. Thanks, John, for operating the panel today. And I remind everybody that we're still on the air every Thursday from 1 to 2. The radio station has WMEL AM 1510
plus FM 99.9, FM 94.7, and FM 100.7.
Yep. Been a long time since I listened to FM stations, but I'm going to put them back on my dial on my radio, and I'll listen to it. So thank you all for listening being with us this weekend, and we'll see you next weekend, and I'll give you a status on how the car ticket sales are going. Thank you all. Thank you, John.